Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chelsea. You know that, I know that. My neighbor's dog just started to howl, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry. But I'm just a lady with a bulldog, a baby, and a camera and far too many opinions. And today, boy do I have them for you. Now I think we can all agree that one, my baby is very bald, then two, that there's a difference between cancellation and being held accountable. That is ridiculous. I really hope you can't hear that. The goal and really the purpose of a public figure being canceled is that they are being held accountable for their cancelable actions or offenses. Sometimes that means being kicked off or run off certain social media platforms. It can lead to loss of income, especially if you are an influencer, contracts being canceled, and then sometimes even the courts get involved if it is something that warrants that. Now, I don't necessarily believe in or agree with deplatforming anyone because I do think that that can make someone into a martyr, and that's not really great. We don't really want that. But I only really think that deplatforming someone or kicking them off of a platform is necessary when they are using said platform to carry out their cancelable offenses or hate speech or things like that. For instance, a good example of this would be James Charles using Instagram to talk to minors. That's a good example of that. But of course, when it comes to being canceled or just held accountable, we need to be able to see change. I mean, isn't that the purpose in general or the end goal is having someone be held accountable? They understand what they did is wrong. They learn, they grow, they do better. And that does take time. You have to prove that you are worthy of the public's forgiveness, basically. And if we silence said person, we can't really see that change happen. Now, can we? Now, in spring of 2021, James Charles did put out a video where he was taking accountability and admitting to having inappropriate conversations with minors. He was, I believe, 21 at the time, 22, 21. Either way, it doesn't matter. He was over 18. He was in his 20s. And these people were under 18, 17, 16. Allegedly, one was as young as 14. That video has since been deleted as if it just never even happened. In this video, James did say that he didn't understand that he was using his power, his fame, his money to coerce, convince, manipulate these boys, I would say men, but they were boys, into potentially having relationships with him, sexual or otherwise. Which, yes, even if you are doing that unknowingly, you're still doing it, and there is that power dynamic there. Now, James can say all day long he didn't know their ages. Once he found that out, he blocked them, he stopped the conversations, he knew that was inappropriate. If it happens once to you, okay. If it happens twice to you, okay. If it happens 3 times, you are the problem and you are putting yourself in this situation. Don't take that out of context. That does not apply to every situation. However, it does apply to this situation. You are famous, you are gay, you are rich, you are young, you're on social media. People are going to try to take advantage of you. People are going to try to expose you. People are going to try to put you in a less than favorable situation so that they can have their expose gotcha moment. That's gonna happen. You're famous, you're an influencer. You should know that. You should understand the landscape of the internet and that that is going to happen to you. So stop trying to get minors to send you pictures of their armpits. Like, what are you doing? Like I said, in 2021, April 2021-ish, James posted that video, which has since been deleted, where he did admit to being a predator. He said he was going to take some time off the internet. He did, I believe it was for less than 4 months. And then he came back after deleting the video, came back to YouTube and just started posting as normal. And I was just going through his channel and looking at his views. And yeah, that was 3 years ago. He's still averaging like 1 million views on each video. So I would say that he hasn't sure his reputation has a stain on it and his career has a stain on it, rightfully so. But I'd say that monetarily, he hasn't been too affected by this. Of course, yes, there's people who don't want to work with him. Thank God, and rightfully so. And I'm sure there are contracts and collabs and sponsorships that were canceled. Thank God. At least someone's keeping him accountable and understands that they shouldn't work with him or be associated with him professionally. However, his YouTube channel was demonetized for a little bit, but it's monetized again, and he's getting millions of views per video. He's still making a lot of money on this platform, which is insane and should not be the case. Wait a minute. Why are you still talking about James Charles? Did he do something else? Like, is he at it again? In my opinion, probably, because there was an article that came out. It was in Cosmopolitan. The author of it, in my opinion, did a horrible job. Did not do good. Like, the journalistic, I guess, integrity, you could say, of the article is just, in my opinion, who am I? Not a journalist, obviously, but it's just not done well. Being in this industry myself and being a commentary creator, it was not done well at all. However, the title of it is something along the lines of James Charles would like to be uncanceled. How about no? And then also it does say in there that he says, yes, I messed up. I'm not a groomer though. A groomer is someone who, talks to someone for this long and does that. And the length of time does not matter. You still unknowingly or knowingly used your power, wealth, success, fame on the internet in order to try to coerce people into having a relationship with you. A sexual one at that. So he can say all day long that he isn't or wasn't a groomer. And I do believe that he does fall into that category. Predatory behavior, absolutely. And you can have a different opinion. That's fine. That's okay. But I think he's gross. And in this article, James even does say that he is still having to check IDs on social media when he's talking to people in DMs. And I do not understand what this child does not understand, but this is what got him into the situation in the first place, was having conversations with people and trying to use social media, Instagram in particular, as a dating app. That's not what it is. He could stay out of these types of issues and just avoid this completely if he would just be normal and use Grindr or Tinder or Christian Mingle or Farmers Only, like sites like that, where you actually have to create a profile. It's vetted. You use your real name. You have your ID checked to ensure that you're over 18. There you go. The work is done for you. You don't have to check IDs. But the reason I think that he still is up to the same shenanigans is because on those apps, you might not know who he is. And I do think that he is, from his own words, desperate, and from my own words, insecure, and wants to have the backing of the name of James Charles to try to lure people in. So he has like that one up of like, I have millions of followers. Like, oh my gosh, I'm responding to you, instead of just like matching with someone and going off of just like a picture or like a dating profile. But again, that is just my opinion. I do think that he is up to the same shenanigans and it's not okay. And that's why I'm making this video, to just remind you and have it out there. Again, a reminder that James Charles is a self-admitted predator and needs to be held accountable. Because I haven't seen change. Have you? I really personally don't think that James Charles has taken his cancellation seriously, because to me it seems like he's just carrying on business as usual and even making jokes about that time in his life and the drama that was surrounding it. But the thing is that you're never really canceled unless your own audience turns against you. We've seen that with Deaf Noodles. We've seen that with Shane Dawson a little bit. We've seen that with a lot of people. 8 Passengers, which thank God. Colleen Ballinger. We've seen these people, these YouTubers, these public figures get canceled, and it's because their own audience, or successfully canceled because their own audience turns against them. With James Charles, his audience is literal children. And in my opinion, they don't see the issue with him admitting to being a predator or DMing people or trying to have a relationship and sending armpit pictures. Listen, I'm not kink shaming. It's just it's an interesting kink. But if that's your thing, that's fine. If it's consensual, if everybody's into it, cool. If everyone's of age, he hasn't checked that box apparently. But like I said, if your own audience hasn't canceled you or isn't holding you accountable, let's say that, then of course you're not going to take it seriously because you're not really going to be too affected. Yes, he has been monetarily affected by all of this, but not to the degree to where I think that it would actually make a difference and make him be like, oh wow, I really did mess up and this was wrong and I do need to change my behavior for the future so that it doesn't repeat itself. Further than just his own audience, his own colleagues, from what I can see, aren't distancing themselves, aren't holding him accountable either. I mean, there's a lot of YouTubers that I've seen that are still liking his pictures, still working with him. I mean, JoJo Siwa, she's a literal child too. She's obviously not anymore, but still, I think she's very immature and doesn't understand the gravity of the situation. And then also Manny MUA, another beauty YouTuber, is still friends with him. Jaclyn Hill's still friends with him. Raw Beauty Christy, there's been lots of talks about her lately about how she, is someone who stands up and calls out unethical behavior and controversial things and has all these opinions, and, we can rely on her for that. And yet she was liking his makeup company's Instagram photos and the reels and about the launch and stuff like that. I mean, if you are liking that stuff, I mean, you are therefore supporting his brand. Her silence surrounding that when she was called out on it, in my opinion, it's disappointing because I really do like her. So that sucks. And now this is a hot topic of conversation in the commentary community or genre on YouTube of, are these people predator protectors? Are they protecting James Charles? And I really do think that, if they were to take a stand and to distance themselves and call him out and not be friends with him and yeah, sure, be cordial, be professional, whatever, but you can still be cordial and professional and not support someone who is that messy and who is a self-proclaimed or self-admitted predator. James's YouTube channel was demonetized for a bit. Do find it interesting that it does seem to be monetized again. The H3 podcast had mentioned that it was monetized again because they went and looked and saw an ad. I have YouTube Premium, so I didn't know if it was or not. I did ask on Instagram, and a lot of y'all sent me screenshots and were like, yeah, I just got an ad on one of his videos. So that's unfortunate, especially since YouTube a couple years ago made a stance and said, if you're doing, unsavory things in your private life, but like in real life, like off of the internet, they can then decide to demonetize your channel. And I would say that admitting on the platform to being a predator off of the platform and on social media platforms is unsavory, and they had every right to demonetize his channel. But why is it back? I don't understand why they are just giving that back to him. His views are more consistently getting back to what they used to be. And I think maybe that could be it. I mean, he does bring in a lot of money for the platform itself. So that's unfortunate though, especially a lot of other people have had their channels demonetized, deleted. And so that's unfortunate. There is a saying that goes something like, if we forget our past, then it will repeat itself. And I do not want us to forget what James Charles has admitted to and what he has not admitted to, because then it will repeat itself and he will get away with it, which he already is getting away with it basically. And that's awful. That's not okay. Why do we make these people famous? Why do we make these people rich and famous? Why do we give these types of people power? It's disgusting, and we should all go to jail, especially James Charles. So again, this is just a reminder. So it's on the internet. So there's another video about James Charles out there to just remind you that he is a self-admitted predator, that that's gross and wrong and not okay, and that that's dangerous, and that we shouldn't forget that. Especially since it doesn't seem that there has been any change put into place, and it looks like he is up to the same old messy antics. I don't know about y'all, but on my 2024 bingo card, maybe even my end of the year bingo card for 2023, it's going to be that James Charles gets exposed again. James Charles gets caught again. It probably will happen, because that's what happens when there aren't consequences. All right, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This is just an opinion piece that I like to do every so often, because obviously I have way too many opinions, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Subscribe, like, comment, all those things. Stay spicy, stay assertive, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.